Hey guys, it's Peyton, and today I'm going to be talking about the books that I read in October. So I read 5 books in October. 1 of them was for school, 2 of them were audiobooks, and the other 2 were physical reads, and 3 of these actually had a whole reading vlog surrounding them. I didn't read as much as I wanted to this month. I had a whole freaking spooky season TBR, and I flopped. I think we all knew I was going to flop. I was in the middle of the semester. Now I'm at the end of the semester, and hopefully November I read more, but I won't. I definitely won't. But dude, December is where it's going to be at. I'll be officially done with my semester, and I can hopefully focus on reading a bunch and doing a bunch of videos for you guys. So I guess we're gonna go ahead and get into what I read. So the first book that I read was the one for school, so I'm not gonna talk too much about it because honestly do not have that many thoughts and feelings about it. It is All Quiet on the Western Front by Eric Maria Remarque. This is a war novel about World War I. It's written by a man who actually was in World War I in the trenches and everything, but he made a fictional version of the story and I guess put some of his experiences into this story so people could get a bit of an understanding of how terrible World War I was. I listened to this on audiobook to get myself through it. I don't even think I rated it because honestly I just don't feel like I gave it the attention it deserved for me to even have a big thought on it. This was a rough book to read, to be honest. I wasn't really that interested in it. The next book I read, I actually do not have a copy of it, but I do have the first one, and the first one is The Red Scrolls of Magic by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu, and I read the second one, which is The Lost Book of the White. I listened to this one on audiobook because my library ended up having it, which was a great thing to see because I was wanting to read it. I am trying not to buy as many books recently. I'm trying to hold off because I do have so many books that I haven't gotten to, and I'm really trying to focus on actually reading the ones on my shelves instead of just continually buying shit. So when I saw a new release that I would really enjoy, like I could just listen to it from my library and not have to get a physical copy, that was nice. I think I gave the book a 3 out of 5 stars, and I think I gave this one a 3 stars as well. This trilogy follows these 2 characters from the Shadowhunter Chronicles written by Cassandra Clare, and it's Magnus and Alec, and they are 2 characters that mean a lot to me. They are the first gay characters I ever came across in any book back in middle school, and because of that they mean a lot to me because they really opened the doors and my eyes to be able to see a whole new world of books and just stories in general. I love them so deeply, but honestly these books themselves, while I love the characters so much and they give me so much happiness, I just don't feel like the plots and the story behind these books are very complex. The first one takes place during City of Fallen Angels, I believe, which is in the middle of the Immortal Instrument series, and the second one takes place after the Immortal Instrument series and maybe after the Dark Artifices. I'm not sure, but it's definitely a big time jump in between the books. We still know though, like we still know what happens to these characters, and we know that whatever conflict happened in these books will not have a huge impact on the rest of their lives because we have these other book series that we can reference and know that everything ends up fine. There's really nothing to be scared about, and while I love seeing cameos from characters that I love so much, it just ends up being a little bit lackluster because there's just nothing to fear. I really think it's just something to read if you really want a little bit more of Alec and Magnus, and this book itself, The Lost Book of the White, it didn't really have that much of Alec and Magnus. There was a lot of just crazy shit going on, and I feel like there wasn't even that many moments just between them two, which was kind of sad because that's kind of what I'm reading the series for, because I just think they have such a beautiful relationship. The next book that I read was The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. Absolutely loved this one. I listened to this one on audiobook, and I did read it for my vampire reading vlog, which by the way needs a lot more love, and if you want really in-depth thoughts on the 3 books that I read in that vlog, definitely go check it out because I put a lot of effort into that video. So this one was probably my favorite out of the 3 that I read. This one is an adult vampire book, and this one is interesting because it is about a group of women in a book club. They read true crime novels together. One day a new neighbor comes in town. It is James Harris. Everybody loves him at first, like he seems great, oh my god. We love him. But no, our main character Patricia, which by the way, basic white woman bitch, as you would think, like with that name, Patricia, she ends up starting to get weird vibes from him. I'm not going to spoil what happens, but there's just things, there's clues that something's not right, and he's a vampire. And she doesn't know that, like, right off the bat, but she knows that something's not right, and this book takes place over several years, and she is telling everybody, like, bitches, this guy is not right. Like, he is putting people in danger. There are children dying. And this one actually deals with a lot of harsh topics because these white women, they aren't caring that a bunch of black children are the ones being murdered currently in a neighborhood that's really close to them. So these women are brushing it aside, and it's really nasty. It's not cute, and it's just like, how dare you, like, not care? You know, like, just genuine human decency. And this book is like really like a study of like these bitches realizing like, no, we cannot do this, we cannot ignore this, we cannot let this guy do these terrible things just because it's not affecting our children. This guy has to go. It ends up being really bloody. There's a lot of shit going down in this book, and I don't feel like I can even eloquently put together my thoughts for it on all of the topics this book addresses. I just thought it was really well done and has a bit of commentary in it, and also has a little bit of a spooky vibe. And I wasn't actually scared, but some people said this book actually scared them. I was just more intrigued and a little bit worried for Patricia. Like, I had a love-hate relationship with her, but I still didn't want, you know, her to have an issue, because James Harris ended up being really scary, very calculating, and you can tell the dude is weird, but like he came off nice sometimes. It's just a very odd experience. I definitely recommend reading this around October. You can read this at any time, but I definitely think this is a perfect Halloween read, and I kind of want to reread it every freaking year for Halloween. The next book that I read was The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh, and I think I gave this a 2 stars. I was really enjoying it at first, and I've heard a lot of people say that this book is really slow, and I can be okay with a slow book if I deeply fall in love with the characters. This book, at first I was like intrigued by these characters, but just as we continue, like I just started to not care. The story wasn't really going anywhere. There wasn't really a plot, and this was somewhat of a murder mystery with vampires roaming around New Orleans. It's like 1872, and our main character moves here from France. A bunch of people start getting murdered, and they're trying to figure it out because one of her friends actually ended up getting murdered as well. She ends up having a little bit of a mingling with this dude named Sebastian, who is kind of like dark. Like, he's in the crime world, he's very mysterious, and there's something up with him. And she's like becoming friends with a lot of people from the darker end of New Orleans, people that have maybe murdered people. Like, something's up with these people. So like, are they vampires? Like, who are the vampires in this story? I don't know, you gotta read it. But honestly, it just ended up being really underwhelming. Like, once I got to the 300-page mark and nothing had happened yet still, I just realized that I just was not into this book anymore. And I really was intrigued by it by the first 100 pages, and I was like, oh, this could be so cool, but nothing ended up really happening. And then the ending was just weird. I ended up just not vibing with the romance that started forming in here, and I just don't know. I don't think I even want to pick up the second one. The final book that I read is a novella collection, or a short story collection, Vampires Never Get Old, Tales with Fresh Bite, and it's by a whole bunch of authors listed here, but the main editors of this collection is Zoraida Cordova and Natalie C. Parker. So I was really intrigued by this book just by the cover. I thought it was a really cool cover, really fun, and I just thought it'd be the perfect book to read for Halloween and for my vampire reading vlog that I had been planning. Short story collections are kind of just not my thing in general, so I don't know if this was the best idea for me to pick up, but I was very intrigued by the concept of the story. Originally, it was sold to me, or just looking online, I thought it was a collection of queer vampires. It's much more than just that. There is just diverse characters in general, so I would say that this book is more of just diverse vampires in every single story. I loved seeing that. It's so cool and it's so nice, and I feel like a lot of people could be seen in this book, but I also feel like my main problem with this book is a lot of these short stories just didn't feel like enough. Like, if it had been touched on more, if it was a longer story, if it was maybe a full-length novel, I feel like I could have got behind it more. It was a lot more underwhelming when it was just a 20-page story. I didn't feel like I could fully connect with that, and that just might be a me problem. I don't think I'm much of a short story type of person. I really was hoping to like it more. I individually rated each story, and if you want to know more about my thoughts on each individual story from this collection, you can definitely go watch my vlog. My favorite one has to be the one by Kayla Whaley. She wrote this story called In Kind, and it is about a vampire in a wheelchair, and I don't even want to tell you what it's about because it's kind of just something you just need to dive into. And if there's any story in here that I think is like really worth reading, it's definitely that one. Rebecca Rowanhorse wrote The Boys from Blood River. That one was really cool. That one was about a Native American vampire and just an interesting concept for vampires in general. So I definitely did enjoy my time with this, but by the end of the book I was kind of just ready for it to be over because it's just hard for me to do so many stories at once. I just couldn't get fully invested when every 20 pages there was a new thing going on. So those are all the books that I read in October, and I'm really hoping I can get more reading done in November so we can come back and at least have 5 more books to talk about. I know if I have more time or just more energy or just no school, I can pop out like 10 books. So hopefully I can do that in November and December. Definitely not November though. Let's be real, I'm already failing. I've only finished one book and it's like halfway through the month. Let me know if you've read any of these books. I would love to hear your thoughts. Like this video, comment down below, have a good day, please subscribe, make sure to follow all my social medias which are linked down below, and go click the bell button which is right by the subscribe button which you should have already clicked, and goodbye.